I am here on this incredible day in this moment, speaking with Dr. Robert Holden, who is one of my favorite people on the planet, who's been a great mentor in my life, whose books really changed the way I see and experience the world. I've recently written the book, The Success Mindset. He was kind enough to give me a quote from my book. We're here to have a conversation about what that book is about the journey. And Robert's been kind enough to dedicate this time. So welcome, Robert.
Thank you, Heather. It's lovely to be with you. Lovely to have this chance to have a conversation about success. We've had a number of those over the years together, haven't we?
Yes.
And now we are both authors of a book on success. I thought I'd like to start by asking you about authentic power, because you really say early on in your book that success is very much about authentic power. Can you give us an insight into what you mean by authentic power?
Yeah, authentic power is the energy of alignment. In the book, I talk about when we think success and we think mindset, we almost immediately go to a mental sphere. But
Mm,
authentic power is about understanding that the roots of mind, it came from the word gmind, Gmynd. And the meaning was that which thinks, wills, and feels. It was thinks here, but wills and feels is about heart and gut. It's about intuition and really sensing with compassion how to lead in the world. And so when I am talking about authentic power, it's really about trying to right mind things because people often confuse confidence with performance. Leaders think if I look strong, I am strong, but real confidence is grounded, it's congruent, and it uses the full intelligence system.
got it. All right. So I'm thinking about when I was 21 years old. I've spent the summer in New York. I'm working on the stock market, but I was offered this extraordinary opportunity to make $1 million. Basically, this was my a career on Wall Street. I'm going to become a millionaire, and then after that, I'll get on with what I really want to do. So I got the contract there, and I'm basically about to sign it, and my body won't let me. The feeling in my heart is a feeling of dread. My head's going, sign the contract, Robert, sign it. It's a good idea. But
Yes.
literally, the more I think I contemplate doing this, my body, I'm feeling sick. And there's just this sense of absolute dread in my heart. This sense that my overall system was saying, yes, it's a good idea, but in my heart it was, but is it for you? And
Mhm.
the key one for me was in my body. And I've only learned this later, but instead of feeling a sense of aliveness, I actually felt drained at the thought of having to do it. So I'm
Yes.
thinking this is an example of working with the whole mind. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And in the book, I talk about energy leadership and
Mm,
noticing your energy. You just use the word drained. So immediately, that is a feedback mechanism. If this makes me feel drained,
yeah.
then something's going on with my life force. And
Yeah.
what's interesting though is so often, Robert, we miss it because our nervous systems are so out of whack that we're
Right.
not even tuning in. The fact that you could hear that in your body, that you could feel and sense it,
Mm,
means that your nervous system, in a sense, was tuned enough to give you feedback that you could actually hear. And so often we're just running around with the nervous system that's gas pedal, gas pedal, gas
yeah.
pedal, and no brake pedal.
Mm,
And what I've noticed in working with leaders and individuals, all kinds of different people, whether you're a stay at home mom or you're the COO of a big company, if you allow your nervous system to be on push, push, push mode, constantly, gas
mm,
pedal, it's very difficult to hear the actual system that's meant to guide and inform you. So, a big
yeah.
part of having success in life, you need to pay attention to your nervous system. and
Yeah.
how to add more brake pedal. So in the coaching work
Hmm.
I do, I'm often having the conversation about how do you add brake pedal to your life? What
Yeah.
does self-care mean to you? How do you
Yeah.
listen to your own guidance system? And
Uh,
that's really
yeah.
my intention with the success mindset. It's offering 12 little micro disciplines because we're
Yeah.
in a very busy world. We're in
Hmm.
we're in an insane world.
Yeah.
And what we need is little moments where we can apply a small principle, something very simple that we can use right away to help us work with what feels like constant insanity.
Yeah, it makes great sense. When I set up my consultancy, Success Intelligence, the work really was about helping each other to come up with new definitions of success that are good for us and good for the planet.
Yes.
Um, and and in a way, that really came from realizing that so many of the definitions of success that we are faithfully working with actually end up hurting us and causing harm and a lot of division. So at some point on the journey of success, there will be a moment where we are called to think again and really re-examine our definitions of success. Now, you've also got a chapter on redefining success. And I wonder if maybe could you tell me a little bit about that process for you, the redefining of success?
That's a lovely question. I remember not thinking about success at all outside of just do, do, do. My version of success was do, get it done, move forward. I ran a PR and marketing firm for many years. So I've been in the communications industry a long time. My version of success was, grow, expand, and get a new client. And how I felt inside running around as a mom, as a business owner, was not really a consideration at all. So whether or not I was stressed, whether, how exhausted I was, it really, the only small glimmer of an idea about including myself in my definition of success was is this client project one that brings me joy? So at least I think that tiny little spark of intelligence, which had to have come not from here, but from
Yeah,
heart and gut, right? From my
yeah,
intuition, from my joy center, at least that was there. And perhaps even those spark, I'm talking about my 20s when, I really looked at what was success. It was, get to vice president internal to a company and then start my own business and then probably complete the different milestones that seemed like they were successful. Get
yeah,
married, have
yeah,
children,
yeah,
be a good mom. And
yeah.
not that there's something wrong with those, but they didn't, it was not intentional.
Mm-hmm.
It was not really conscious. It was definitely living to someone else's definition of
Mm-hmm.
success. I didn't sit back and say, have you always wanted that? But coming to a different relationship, even with parenthood and with how I show up in it and how I become the best parent, the most loving parent that I
Mm.
can be, has a lot to do with really looking at that inner definition of success and working
Yeah.
on my own nervous system to have enough reserves to not just be one big reactionary human,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
to be a responsive, integrated, whole human. And
Yeah.
that's a journey. That's a hero's journey. Speaking of,
It is actually at the start of authentic success. I start with that the Monty Python sketch, the 100 yards dash for people with a poor sense of direction. Yeah, hopefully you can just visualize it. All the runners are on the starting line and they're all agitated and impatient and restless because they're waiting for the gun to go off. The gun goes off, and this race for people with a poor sense of direction begins. And if you can imagine, everybody runs very fast, but they all run off the track really, really quickly. And in a way, in our athletic stage of life, we're running fast, we're running all sorts of races, we're entering every race there is. and as I say, hopefully we're winning. But there comes a point, it's, where we begin to question, why am I running this race? Is this even my race to run?
Yes.
And just that sense of, hold on a minute, let's reassess this. Now, often what I've noticed, Heather, is we're stopped.
Mm.
There comes a certain point in our life where we are stopped. It's either what I call a voluntary stop,
Yeah.
or we are stopped by life itself. So, how did that happen for you? How did you get stopped?
I like to say now that, I needed a really big stop, a really big
Mm,
stop sign because I was
mm,
just self-righteous enough, just stubborn enough that it really needed to be loud.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
at the time, in fairness, it was also very frightening. Mine
Mm,
was a cancer diagnosis, breast
mm,
cancer in 2013. It's been a long time now. And it's a
yeah.
beautiful gift to be able to look at that in the rearview mirror. And I say that with a
Mm,
lot of compassion because unfortunately, many, women and men get that
mm,
invitation for such a hard stop.
yeah.
Um, and it did stop my life. Thankfully, on along that year and a half full journey, it all went well. And I was also able to start to look at the whole thing with a little bit more curiosity. For
Yeah.
example, that invitation to look at my life
Mm,
through a different lens came on Valentine's Day, 2013. So I talk about this in the success mindset a little bit, but it's not lost on me that that is
mm,
a day when we tend to at least have the option as a holiday to celebrate love. So I
yeah.
like to think of it as the phone call that came in that said, "Here's your diagnosis," was really a call for love from love. Ultimately, I can see now in the rearview mirror. Self care is not an indulgence, it's infrastructure for impact. A calm nervous system is really, if you will, a leadership advantage. It's a personal leadership advantage. Um, you can't lead your life sustainably from an exhausted inner world. It just doesn't work that way. And
Yeah.
so that's when I got my stop.
Well, I mean, Heather, like you, I've been stopped in my life at times, and sometimes it's the voluntary stop, sometimes it's the involuntary stop. But there are these times in life, I think, where we do get brought to our knees,
Yeah.
and they are terribly disorientating times. But with a success mindset, with a mindset that says, hold on a minute, what if somehow all of this is helpful? That's what happened to me. And in some ways, I had the feeling that I was so driven towards success early on in my life. I thought if I was successful, I could then become the person I wanted to really be.
Right.
And at some point, I had to reverse that. And I had to see, no, wait a minute, I've got to become the person who I really want to be. And then I'm going to be more successful. But it wasn't that way around to begin with. I didn't know who I was to begin with. And if anything, I wanted to be successful so as to feel as if I had some substance to my life, that I could wear the badge and be able to say I'm a valuable member of society. I'm a good person,
Mm.
and I'm valuable. One of the ways I was stopped was a slip disc. So we both of us have an experience, I guess, of our body intelligence
Yes.
overriding that sort of mental drive and saying to us, wait a minute, wait a minute. I had two slip discs, and I was forced to stop. For me, it was 6 months.
Oh,
Um, and I was issued with a walking stick, and that walking sticking really forced me to slow down, forced me, I think, to connect with my heart more. Like everything you're saying makes so much sense to me. It was to be less sort of racy and driven up here, and to do what I felt I should be doing,
yeah.
and just ease my way in more to this other intelligence that you're talking about in the heart. I had ticked off things in my on my to-do list, but the thing that had always evaded me was the feeling of success.
Uh-huh.
I'd never felt it. So
Yes.
I could tell you about my ticks and my
Yeah. Your
accomplishments.
numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. My key performance indicators were pretty high,
Yeah.
but the feeling that always evaporated so fast, it never stuck.
Mhm.
So I think something was going on where it was like, well, it would be nice to feel some of the success at some point. It would be nice to enjoy some of the fruits of the labor. But then it was also this sense as well of what would it be like to, instead of just be racing around doing, what would it be like to just have a little bit more of an experience of being? So, all of that was part of my stopping,
Mhm.
and I think that changed everything for me actually in many ways, and made me feel like that success is a journey rather than the destination. It's I gave a TED talk on destination addiction a few years back, which was a term I created really from self-observation. That a lot of my early life as the athlete, I was experiencing destination addiction. It was always about getting there,
Yes.
as opposed to trusting this guidance mechanism that you're describing that we do all have.
Mhm.
Maybe we could talk about that as well, about like that somehow the success mindset is about allowing ourselves to be guided and led.
It's such an important part of this work that I wanted to bring to the world.
Mm.
And if you're going to be able to be led by
Mm.
your full intelligence system,
Yeah.
there are a couple things that can unlock that fairly quickly. One is our energy. Just, you talked about feeling drained. It's a feedback mechanism.
Yeah.
Even when I was talking about do, grow and expand,
Hmm.
yes, you look at that through almost a different lens now. You
Yeah.
start to look at it through the way that we are holding the definition of those things. So you redefine what is grow? What does that really mean? How am I growing in my own inner world? And so much of it is in two areas, our languaging. So
Mm.
much is in our languaging. And you said when you were recalling how you oriented to success, it's what I should do.
Mm.
Should, that word should,
Mm.
that does not come from the full intelligence system. That's given to you
Yeah.
and it's adopted.
Yeah.
So looking at the word should, looking at the phrase, another one is I have to. I have
Mm.
to take the kids to school. I have to get this done. I have to get to that meeting. It
Mm.
immediately drains your energy because those words are victim language. They're
Mm.
not putting you in your power, in your
Yeah.
authentic power. So even shifting some of the, just a little practice of shifting your language from I should and I have to I want to, I choose to. That is powerful languaging. And it actually wires your brain
Yeah.
for a more energized way of being in the world. And when you
Yeah.
have access to your full energy system, that's what I call energy leadership. It's
Beautiful.
personal leadership and get it using your energy and how you're feeling to know if you're really on track.
There's another message in your book, which is that your success is not just for you.
The opportunity to look at that idea that my success is actually um, relational
Mm.
is such a great joy
Mm.
to talk about, to write about. When you grow, everyone else around you benefits. Like success is a ripple effect, it reverberates throughout your life. When you have 100% of successful inner life and 100% success on the outside, you are creating a powerful energy around you that uplifts everyone. So I think one of the coolest things about shifting into a greater version of how I feel more successful in my life
Yeah.
is that it affects the whole world. So it's a really
Mm.
important message in my book
Mm.
because a leader I coached once said, I thought that, working on myself was selfish. Um,
Mhm.
then I saw how my alignment calmed my whole team. It
Yeah.
calmed my whole family at home. It was like my restoration into like a whole version of success made me a kinder parent. So
Yeah.
your success lifts others, your success inspires others. You know, your success expands what is possible for others. And that is a much different version of success than the one I grew up with.
I think again, often in the early days, success can be something we use to try to differentiate ourselves from others. You know, I'm more successful than they are. Yeah. It's almost like we're trying to prove something. And we're often working against some strange notion that we carry inside ourselves for whatever reason. But what you're describing here just is more wholesome, isn't it? A genuine feeling that, as you say, your success becomes a gift to others. I mean, to me, this is a radical shift because not least because actually it takes away any of those limits that we might place inside ourselves, especially limits around the shame of being too successful. But in a sense, if all of your success is benefiting everybody else too, then it takes away the shame of success.
Yeah.
It sort of, I think, creates this space for no, wait a minute, this is a good thing. My success benefits everybody. I can get over myself now. Now there doesn't have to be a sense of how much success I need to earn, how much success I need to deserve. It's not about earning and deserving. It's about the distribution of who we are and almost like the wealth of creation flowing through us. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It does. It makes a lot of
Mm,
sense. I mean, I like the
yeah.
idea of, what if success is part of a larger story, that
Yeah.
that it's not just for you, that it's for the people whose lives that you touch. Your connection with others is
Yeah.
what actually creates an entirely more loving, compassionate world.
In authentic success, I said that one of the principles was that if your definition of success has little or no mention of love, get another definition. It's this idea that if love isn't in your definition of success, you'll not be fulfilled. But also, this definition isn't big enough for you. You will outgrow it at some point. And it does seem to me that at the end of the day, success has to be something to do with knowing how to love and letting yourself be loved too. But it's right there in success mindset as well. It feels extra wholesome when people bring success and love together. For me, the big thing, Heather, which you've heard me say over and over again, is when I realized that love is intelligent.
Yeah.
Love is intelligent. You can afford to trust that if you are guided to do something that you love, that's intelligent. Yeah. And that if you stay with it, love will guide you, it will inspire you. And doing more of what you love is going to add up to more success.
It's one of my favorite teachings of
Mm.
yours. Yeah. Yeah. Again, that is one of my favorite books, Authentic Success. But I love Shift Happens. Now you have a coaching program. I love all your work. It's so good. I share it
Well,
every chance I can.
Heather, thank you, but we're here to celebrate the success mindset. Well done, really well
Thank
done. It's a big thing to do, isn't it? When you put together one of these books, you process your whole life. Thank you for doing it because I think every time we read a book like yours, it just encourages us to do the same thing, of really paying attention to our life, paying attention to that journey, and recognizing that each new chapter of our life isn't meant to be a repeat of the last chapter. It is an evolution. And so, in a way, our understanding about what success is must grow with us, if we're going to step into the person we're truly here to be. And I think that's for me that this is the bigger picture that you present to us all the way throughout the book. It's just a brilliant read. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. It's such a joy. I appreciate this conversation so much. You know how dear you are to me.